Last night, AEW held its All Out 2020 pay-per-view. And one of the major news items coming out of that is what happened with Matt Hardy in his match with Sammy Guevara. Now, the match was known as a Broken Rules match, aka Last Man Standing. And basically, in the early portions of the match, both Sammy and Matt went to the top of this forklift, fell off said forklift, and instead of hitting both tables, breaking both tables, thus breaking the fall, only Sammy was able to hit those tables, while Matt barely eclipsed those tables with his legs, while the rest of him hit the concrete, thus knocking him out for about almost a minute, legitimately knocking him out. And basically, long story short, Audrey Edwards, who's the head referee there, called for the X sign and basically a stop to the match. They had doctors come in, check on both Sammy but mostly Matt to make sure Matt was okay. And I guess one doctor cleared Matt just barely to finish the match. I don't know how you do a 4-minute concussionary protocol to allow somebody to be cleared to finish the match, but they did. And this is where AEW has come under fire a little bit. Tony Khan has come under fire. You see, Tony Khan is the one that obviously was in the ear of Audrey Edwards to tell her to put up the X sign so they can see what's going on and check on the condition of Matt. Now that's good, but what isn't good is him basically getting Tony Khan basically not getting back on the headset and telling Audrey Edwards, no, I'm not going to continue this match. I'm not going to let this match continue. It's over. You're unable to compete. And thus, assign the match to be redone at a later date, maybe on Dynamite or something. But still, the match was allowed to continue because the doctor that did the 4-minute concussionary protocol, I guess, was able to get enough responses out of Matt to clear him to finish. Now, like I said, this has caused AEW and Tony Khan to come under fire. Now, Tony Khan has come out and said that Matt Hardy is okay. That might be fine and everything to tell the world, yeah, Matt's fine, he's going to be all right. But, that's one thing. It's another not to stop the match and basically schedule it for a later date. Because from what people that saw the pay-per-view would tell me, or would tell all of us, Matt, even though he got cleared, was in barely any condition to continue. Yes, they rushed to the end of the match to give Matt the victory over Sammy, but still, they should have not continued the match the way they did. And that they should have just called it off and continued it at a later date. Now, like I said, the reason this has got AEW and Tony Khan under fire is because this is exactly why a lot of people that are not so keen on giving AEW a chance and basically look at AEW as being Bush League still, even though they're on TNT and they got all these things going for them. This is what people look at as Bush League operations when it comes to running a wrestling company. That if you're not Bush Leagues, you're trying to be Major League, then you need to do the right thing. You need to basically call the match off and basically reschedule it for a later date. But they didn't do that. And this upset a lot of people. As a matter of fact, those that watched the pay-per-view last night said that afterwards, the entire crowd was just taken out of it. The entire crowd was just gone. Now, thankfully, it wasn't a full crowd because of what's going on, but still the crowd that was allowed in there, the 15 to 20% audience that was allowed in, basically they were taken out of the entire event because of what happened to Matt. Because everybody's minds and thoughts and prayers were with Matt to make sure he was all right. And again, this is what AEW doesn't need. Yes, they're over a year old. Yes, they are one of the highest rated shows on television Wednesday nights. But the thing is, if you want to show you are Major League and that you are capable of competing on the same level, if not above it, with a company like WWE, then you need to not be a Bush League promotion. Now, some may say that WWE has had a history of doing this too. Yeah, they have. They have had a history, but at least they're able to work around it. They're able to basically say, yes, he's legitimately injured and he may not be able to continue the match. They don't stall for time. They don't try to make up excuses. You know, they just, as much as we hate to say it, they come out and they say the truth about what happened. And if the injury is legitimate, and then let's say they continue the match and the person that's legitimately injured wins, they will come out, believe it or not, and announce that that person can't compete in a future match that maybe they're scheduled to be in, and that match is either canceled or there's going to be a replacement named. Now, I know people would say that all people are doing when they bring this kind of stuff up is making excuses for WWE because they don't like AEW. That's not the case. AEW has proven that they are more than what WWE is right now. They listen to the fans. You know, they do what the fans want. They allow the wrestlers to be themselves. You know, be part of any outside media outlet, social media outlet. But the point is, if you want to prove that you're just as good, if not better, than a company that's been around for over 50 years, then you can't allow stuff like this to happen. And this is where Tony Khan, believe it or not, has to basically differentiate himself from being the fan Tony Khan, the wrestling fan Tony Khan, and being the owner. I mean, it's one thing to be a fan, and that's great, but it's another to be the owner of a wrestling company, and basically the safety of said wrestlers being in the palm of your hand. And right now, this doesn't show Tony Khan in a very good light when you allow a match to continue after you yourself were in the ear of your head referee to put up the X sign and put a stop to the match. And yet, when you see a doctor say, let the match continue, with a basically concussed Matt Hardy, just so Matt can get the win, doesn't make you look good. You should have been in the ear of Aubrey and had her basically tell the doctor, no, I'm not letting this match continue. He may say he's good, but I don't. This match is done. That's what Tony Khan should have done. He should have got back in Aubrey's ear and said, look, you tell that doctor this match ain't going to continue. That it's done, he's in no condition. But that didn't happen, did it? No, instead, Tony Khan was only in Aubrey Edwards' ears once, told her to put up the X sign, and that's it. Again, this does not paint AEW in a good light. And it took down potentially what could have been a great pay-per-view significantly. It took the live crowd out of it, and it took the audience watching at home on pay-per-view and Fight TV, it took them out of it. Because it's like, how can you basically brush over a major incident? Something that could have maybe killed the guy. To me, this is exactly why people still consider AEW not in the same league or not on the same level as WWE, despite having a national television deal. And you cannot tell me that the people at TNT, at Warner Media, are not going to be happy about this. I mean, everybody's worried that with the change of guard behind the scenes at Warner Media, that AEW's future may be in doubt. Well, guess what? Allowing stuff like this to happen, yeah, that's not going to paint you in a good light, even with the people who basically is putting you on the air on a weekly basis. That doesn't put you in a good light for probably continuing to stay on there even after, 2023, 2024? It doesn't paint you in a good light. So hopefully AEW can recover from this. Tony Khan and AEW can recover for this, but Tony Khan has to basically balance the difference between being a wrestling fan and being the owner. When you're an owner, you need to take responsibility. When you're a fan, then that's different. You just go out there, be part of the audience, cheer, sing along with the favorite themes and all that. That's great. But when you're an owner, that's when you need to be responsible and you need to be mature about what you're doing. I'm not saying he isn't responsible and mature, or when it comes to running AEW, but when it comes to moments like this, it doesn't make him look good. It doesn't make the company look good. And if there's any concern about the future with Warner Media on networks like TNT, was probably something of consideration or concern for anybody, even those in the company. Something like this does not make you look good in the eyes of Warner Media, especially with the recent changing of the guard. So if I'm AEW and I'm Tony Khan, I come out, I make the acknowledgement that yes, it was a mistake to continue the match and that they should have just stopped it right there and rescheduled it at a different time. That's what you need to do. If I'm Tony Khan, that's what I do. Don't be a Vince McMahon and try to basically, continue the show while you know while you know that your audience and maybe even your roster has been just deflated at what just happened. So if I'm Tony Khan and I'm AEW, I find a way to make up for this. I come out and I publicly apologize for what happened. I take responsibility and then slowly try to let the wounds be healed, because you know what? If they don't do something like this, again, it doesn't make them look good and it hurts their chances at probably staying on TNT, because like I said, those at Warner Media, they may not like what happened and they may reconsider keeping AEW Dynamite on their networks. So yeah, it's not a good look for AEW when you allow something like this to continue, even after it obviously seems like the guy is not in any condition to continue. I mean, heck, Rebby Sky was not happy either. I mean, I knew. I mean, I super chatted just Alex Hicks, aka formerly known as the Lex Man. I super chatted him and I said, Rebby is going to be mad. She's going to, she's going to basically, rant on AEW. And no sooner did I say that, no sooner someone post up on Twitter, no sooner did I say that, then Alex looks up the Twitter feeds and sees Rebby Sky and what she said. So, yeah, it doesn't make AEW look good, and AEW needs to take responsibility. Hopefully they will, because you know what? This damages any opportunity they have of remaining on Warner Media after 2023 and maybe 2024. So, Tony Khan, AEW, I hope you guys take responsibility. And Tony Khan, you need to make the difference. You need to basically balance the difference of being a wrestling fan and an owner. When it's time to be an owner, you need to focus on the safety and well-being of those that work for you. If you want to be a fan, that's fine. Leave the responsibilities to somebody else. But yeah, they need to come out and publicly apologize and acknowledge that they made a mistake in letting the match continue. And just hopefully let the wound slowly heal from there. Because I'm telling you right now, the way that audience reacted, and I'm sure the wrestlers in the back were basically, the way the audience reacted afterwards for the rest of the show, and maybe the way the wrestlers were for the rest of the show, that's not a good sign for a company that's trying to prove to be on the same level, if not more so, than the established WWE. So that's all I'm going to say on it. Again, not a good sign for AEW when they allow something like that to happen. And that's all I'm going to say. Godspeed to Matt Hardy for a speedy recovery, and hope to see him back in the ring very soon. Maybe not this Wednesday, but soon. So until next time, guys, let me know what you all thought about it. Comment below. I am out.